Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is factor 2 out of this trinomial. Okay, and next I'm going to identify A, B, and C. A, B, and C. So A is 15, B is 19, C is negative 10. And then the next thing I'm going to do is multiply A and C together. So in this case, that would be 15 times a negative 10, and that is a negative 150. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to find two numbers whose product is negative 150, but whose sum is 19. And those two numbers are 25 and negative 6. So if you think about this, 25 times a negative 6, that's a negative 150, and 25 plus a negative 6, that's positive 19. So next thing we're going to do is, that's this 2 here that I wrote down here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to write out the first term of this trinomial, and I'm going to write out the last term of the trinomial, but I'm going to leave some space in between here. And so instead of me writing 19x in this space, I'm going to use these two numbers to do that. So plus 25x minus 6x. Okay, so this is still 19x, just written in a different way. Okay, so to factor this 4-term polynomial by grouping, we're going to need to factor the greatest common factor out of the first 2 terms, and then the greatest common factor out of the last 2 terms. The greatest common factor of the first 2 terms is 5x. Greatest common factor of the last 2 terms, that's a negative 2. Okay, so let's look at this first part. If I factor a 5x out of these first 2 terms, I'm left with 3x plus 5. If I factor a negative 2 out of these last 2 terms, I'm left with 3x plus 5. You can go ahead and verify that if you want to. Negative 2 times 3x, that's a negative 6x. Negative 2 times 5, that's a negative 10. Okay, we're almost done here. What we need to do now is to factor the common binomial out of this entire expression. And that common binomial is 3x plus 5. You see it here, you see it here. So it's going to be factored out. So if I factor it out of this first part, I'm left with just a 5x. If I factor it out of this last part, I'm left with minus 2. And that's the complete factorization.